You cannot escape from death.
One thing that's really funny about Tekken is how hard it tried to make Jin the good guy. At one point in time, he started off as the innocent kid who really just like was thrown into a world of chaos, violence, and like power-hungry Mishimas, right? You talk about his father and grandfather. But at a certain point, Jin started to make the mistakes himself. If you look at the way he talks to Lars in Tekken 6, the way he treats Alyssa in Tekken 6, the way he treats pretty much everyone in Tekken 6, that guy is a maniac. That guy is a madman. Funny enough, the portrayal of Tekken 6 Jin was considered hated by the players, so much so to where the developers tried to reel back that evil persona and make him the good guy again. Because there was times where Jin was the good guy in the past, he was kind of an anti-hero is how he was labeled. He wasn't like, throwing a cape and go save everyone, but he was like the best Mishima fighting for what's right. And sometimes he would get his hands dirty. And Tekken 6 was really supposed to represent that. Even though he started this war, he did so to kill a demon that would awake and destroy everyone. The story is convoluted, it does really make sense, but that's what he did. He tried to cause chaos to prevent a bigger chaos. But not only did that chaos he caused not reach the resolution that he wanted, but also everything that he's done before then is going to come back to haunt him. There's a lot of characters in the world of Tekken who sided with Jin, not necessarily because they wanted to, but because they have no other choice. Some of his closest allies, from Lars to Lee to Alyssa to Raven, so many people at one point in time was hunting down Jin to try to capture him, kill him, or just stop him from doing madness. But they kind of had to pull off of him because his father and his grandfather, they're really evil. They really will burn the world. They really will destroy everything, like we saw Kazuya try to do in Tekken 8. So they had to pick the lesser of two evils. Now, even though we saw over time those people who just begrudgingly joined Jin, they eventually became friends, and a brotherhood was built, a bond was built. The foundations of it was like, I guess I'll join this guy. Now, even though those guys had kind of a incentive to join Jin and help him take down the bigger evil, not every character in Tekken, one, should, but two, does. And this is where Miguel enters. Miguel is the walking personification of the hatred that the people in Tekken should have. And the reason why I say should have is because, like I said, Tekken has been working very hard, the developers, to portray Jin as this good guy hero that everyone loves and celebrate, adore. People that Jin spat in the face of in past games, now they're like, come on, Jin, you got this. And it's kind of like a knee jerk for people who's been following the story of Tekken very thoroughly. Miguel is a walking personification of the hatred. In Tekken 7, Jin was being hunted by the United Nations for the war that he caused. In Tekken 8, United Nations is working alongside Jin to bring down Kazuya Mishima. You could just see the craziness, the flip-floppy of how people kind of had to join Jin. But Miguel, he's not going to do that. He shouldn't do that. I seen a post on Reddit that kind of inspired this video. Miguel won't be added to Tekken 8 because Bandai Namco would either have to acknowledge that some people will never forgive Jin, or write the biggest character assassination in history. Something that Tekken 8 has done a lot of as well is kind of trying to like make characters just overcome their faults without really putting in work. Like, for example, another person who helped Jin destroy the world is Eddie. Basically, Eddie's father was grandfather, I think it was his master. Eddie's master was sick. Eddie didn't know who else to turn to. He was like, Jin Kazama, can you use all of your wealth and resources to save my master's life? Jin says, only if you help me cause World War III will I try to save the life of your master. Pure demon behavior. And Eddie does it. Eddie helps Jin cause World War III. And a lot of people hate him as well. A lot of people try to attack Eddie as well. And both of those guys are kind of like walking down this path of chaos. But in Tekken 8, you see them kind of like press X to forgive themselves. Eddie just forgives himself for causing World War III. And then now he's a good guy. Miguel should be a character who, one, really shows that like a lot of people do not like Jin. Even though you're fighting your father and demons and spirits, most people wouldn't understand the complexities of the Mishima family. They would just view these three guys as a nuisance and all of them should go. And Miguel is that. Now, I do wonder if they will have Miguel like join Team Kazuya, and because he necessarily doesn't hate Kazuya and Heihachi, he really only hates Jin. And if they were to team him up with Kazuya, Kazuya kind of needs allies, especially if the Devil Gene is really gone. Miguel on the side of Kazuya could just be more cannon fodder to throw at Jin's allies and Jin Kazama himself. Kazuya's just trying to stir chaos, buy for time, and come up with a plan. So he could do that. And also you could put Miguel on Team Heihachi, Rain, or whatever. But really, I would like for Miguel to operate as this lone individual. It was cool seeing every character pick a side in Tekken 8 and fight, for good or evil. But in doing so, we kind of lose the essence of what these characters are. Like, certain characters are just on their own island doing their own thing. Miguel, Brian Fury. I think those characters just exist in the world of Tekken, and they're trying to just accomplish their own goals. And for Miguel, he was living his own life, appreciating his sister's wedding, celebrating her. And then boom, Jin drops a bomb down from the sky and ends her life and everyone. So many family members gone. And Miguel, that was all he had. So that vengeance that he has, that revenge that he wants, should be so deep, should be so brutal, should cut so hard to the core of Tekken. And it should remind everyone that not everyone will forgive Jin. And they shouldn't. They really shouldn't, bro. When you look at some of the things that the Mishimas have done, we saw Kazuya Mishima blow up a skyscraper. We saw Heihachi Mishima blow up a skyscraper. We see these Mishimas kill thousands with a blink of an eye. Their story glosses over it. Like, oh yeah, in this one game, they kind of wiped out a whole entire city. And, in Tekken 7, when they introduced Akuma, they showed a fleet of drones fly over and drop bombs on a whole entire city. In Tekken 8, they briefly show us San Francisco, and it is destroyed. I feel like there should be so much more hatred for the Mishimas, and we really don't see that. We just see these guys hang out with their friends, hang out with their allies, and be celebrated for being good guys. At the end of Tekken 8, we see Jin Kazama have a very happy ending, and he goes on a bike ride with his girlfriend. In Tekken 7, we saw Miguel promise to bring revenge to Jin Kazama, not when he's at his lowest, but when he's at his highest. When Jin Kazama thinks that everything is good and everything is going well, life is sweet, Miguel wants to remind him the same way that Miguel was living life, having a good time watching his sister get married, and he was loving it, and then Jin dropped bombs. That's what Miguel wants to do, and now is a perfect time. Drop those bombs of vengeance. Drop those bombs of justice. Really remind Jin that you can press X to forgive yourself, but the world will not do it. And I really, really, really hope Tekken nails that aspect of Miguel. Don't try to make Miguel seem like the bad guy. Miguel, he's the good guy. He represents humanity. He represents the way that the Mishimas has been recklessly waging war and using people for the past 30 years. Heihachi usurped his own father, took his corporation, and used that corporation to cause war. These Mishimas are a global dominating force who very rarely have to face the consequences of their own actions. And for Jin Kazama, just the mere having to look face to face with someone else who hates their guts and will never forgive him is something that a lot of players want to see. A lot of players want to see Jin really atone for his sins and not just, press X to forgive him and now he's the good guy. Really give us a little bit more than that. Give us a deeper story than that, and give us a deeper game than that. Miguel personifies that, and I can't wait until he's added into Tekken 8. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and bye-bye.